Mehriban xanım, sual vermək olar, ölkədə demokratiyanın durumu ilə bağlı. Mənim adım Emin Huseynovdur, jurnalistəm.
Qadın paltarında səfirlikdə gizlənən insan sizsiz. Sizə can sağlığı arzularım.
Çox sağ olun, amma qadın paltarında gizlənməmişəm. Sağ olun. Cənab Prezident, müstəqil mətbuatın suallarına da cavab verə bilərsiniz, yoxsa yox? Bəlkə onda siz cavab verəsiniz.
This recent photo, taken at the palace in Addis Ababa, it shows Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed with a visitor. But who is she? Officially, her visit was kept completely under wraps. But this one picture, well, it blew the lid off a much larger and way more controversial story. Okay, and this is where things get really weird. In Ethiopia, you hear crickets, total media silence, nothing from the Prime Minister's official channels, but back in her home country, Azerbaijan, it's all over the news. They're hailing it as an official visit, saying she even brought an invitation from her father, the president. So why the complete silence on one side and a full-on celebration on the other? To figure out who she is and, why this whole visit was so hush-hush, we've got to zoom out a bit. We need to look at this surprising friendship that's been bubbling up between Ethiopia and Azerbaijan. Now, this relationship didn't just pop up overnight. I mean, they've had diplomatic ties since the early 90s. But look at this timeline. Something clearly changed after 2018. Things just took off. The relationship got way more intense, both diplomatically and economically. The big question, of course, is why? What was the catalyst? Well, one huge piece of the puzzle seems to be money, or more specifically, a lack of access to it. The investigation we're looking at points to this alleged statement from Prime Minister Abiy back in 2021. He basically said their bank accounts for buying weapons were frozen. And what do you do then? He says they started moving cash in suitcases. Literally, suitcases. And it turns out both countries were kind of in the same boat. Ethiopia was getting a lot of heat internationally for its internal conflicts. At the same time, Azerbaijan was dealing with sanctions from the US and the EU for a bunch of reasons. So when you're both feeling squeezed by the international community, what do? The report suggests you start looking for, let's call them, alternative friends. Okay, so that brings us right back to the woman in that photo. Because as it turns out, she's not just a visitor, she is smack dab in the middle of Azerbaijan's entire power structure. So who is she? Her name is Leyla Aliyeva. And yeah, she's the president's daughter, her dad's the president, her mom's the vice president. Talk about a power family. But according to investigators, her role is way bigger than just being the first daughter. Now, you might be thinking, where is all this coming from? Well, these aren't just wild accusations. They're based on some serious investigative journalism. We're talking the Panama Papers, the Pandora Papers, reporting from the Washington Post, massive global investigations that have put the Aliyev family's finances under a microscope for years. And what's one of the biggest allegations that keeps popping up in these reports? That a huge chunk of the family's incredible wealth is connected to the illegal arms trade. Okay, so with that background, the investigation starts connecting the dots with some very specific, and I mean very large-scale alleged arms deals between these two countries. And just look at the numbers here. We're not talking about a handful of rifles. Between late 2021 and early 2022, the report claims Ethiopia got tens of thousands of Kalashnikovs, heavy machine guns, and get this, over 100 containers of ammunition. That is a massive amount of weaponry. And how was this all paid for? Allegedly with suitcases full of cash, just like the Prime Minister mentioned. The weapons themselves were supposedly flown on a few different airlines, but there's one you really need to remember: Silkway Airlines. Why that one? Because here's the kicker. Other investigative journalists have already reported that Silkway Airlines is directly tied to, you guessed it, the Aliyev family. But this whole alleged operation, well, it didn't exactly go off without a hitch. In fact, according to the source material, it was about to hit a very big and very expensive snag. So fast forward to November 2022. The whole thing comes to a grinding halt. 3 ships, allegedly full of these weapons, headed for Ethiopia, are stopped dead in their tracks. The Eritrean Navy seized them in the Red Sea. For the buyer, this was an absolute disaster. We're talking millions and millions of dollars just gone. And to really get why Ethiopia lost everything, you need to understand one little 3-letter acronym in shipping. The deal was supposedly done under FOB terms, which stands for free on board. And this detail is everything. It basically means the second those weapons were loaded onto the ship in Azerbaijan, they weren't the seller's problem anymore. Ethiopia had allegedly already paid in full, and from that moment on, all the risk was on them. So these are the ships that were seized: the CMS Palawan, CMS Ijid, and CMS 3. All of them, by the way, were said to be flying the flag of Azerbaijan. And here's the final piece of the puzzle. The company that owns these ships, it's called Caspian Marine Services. And yep, previous investigations have also linked this company right back to the Aliyev family's business empire. It seems to all be connected. So you've got the alleged arms deals, the suitcases of cash, the family-linked airline, the family-linked shipping company, and then this huge, expensive interception at sea. All of that brings us full circle, right back to that quiet, mysterious meeting in the palace. Which leaves us with one big question, right? Was Leyla Aliyev's visit just a friendly diplomatic hello, like her country's media made it out to be? Or was this something else entirely? A high-stakes business negotiation between a major supplier and a very important customer, maybe trying to sort out a deal that went sideways? That's the real mystery here.